Good evening. This formal meeting of the Board of Education for June 23rd, 2015 is called to order. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to everyone present and to our television viewers. Any item that will be voted on this evening has been posted as required by state law. This meeting is being televised live and will be replayed throughout the next 2 weeks. Please check the board website for replay times. This meeting is also being streamed live on our PPS TV Services website. Directors Knowles and Regan are absent this evening. So first up on our agenda is the superintendent's report. Over to you, Superintendent Smith.
Thank you, Director Atkins. So Fabian alumni had a chance to say goodbye to their beloved school earlier this month. The school has occupied a special place in the neighborhood for decades, and we're happy that it will be rebuilt on the same spot through our bond and Concordia University fundraising. And that will continue to bear the James B. Fabian name when it reopens in 2017. Many alumni who attended Fabian in the 50s and 60s stopped by to tour the school, and as you can see from the photos, scribbled fond memories on the walls and the floors of the school. Some of the adults who returned told stories about meeting their future spouse there at Fabian. And while they're sad to see the old building go, they're thrilled about the beautiful new building that will replace it, and so are we. And actually, I'll just say on the last day of school, Channel 6 did a great interview with a young Fabian student as he was leaving in the back of his car, and he started really quietly about being sad about the last day of school, and by the end of the interview, his little hands were going, and he was all animated about the new library and the new roof and what it will be like when I return. So it was just like a perfect capturing of the excitement that the kids have about what's happening at their school and what it will be there to welcome them back. So. Construction's also begun on the modernization of Roosevelt and Franklin High School, as you can see from these pictures. The backhoes and equipment show dramatic transformations taking place outside the schools, but I wanted to also show you some of the work that's happening inside, where teachers and school staff have been busy packing up. Here's a quick video of Roosevelt's theater department moving decades of sets and lighting and staging.
It's moving day.
So we've been packing and moving pretty much since February, just about every day, a little bit me, and then sometimes when I had the opportunity, I would have the students help me a little bit. The building is, what, 85 years old, so we have about 85 years worth of clutter and mess to clean up. Probably half a dozen houses worth if you had a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house. So we've cleaned out a lot of the stuff that's here. Again, opening it up to the signatures so we can start the process of taking pictures of all of the signatures that are backstage. So we have those for posterity. Funny thing that happened today is we were cleaning up a small prop storage and getting it organized for the movers, and we pulled out a scenery piece that had a moon and a sky on it, and we flipped it around, and I just started laughing because on the back side it says Grease, and it's a record, and that's the musical we happen to pick for next year. Had no idea that it was in there, so I think we're going to hang on to that. I'm going to miss the character, you know, coming into a historic place. It just has that sense of history. So I'm going to miss a lot of that. I'm going to miss some of the, you know, stories that the alumni telling about the, you know, the time when they were on stage and here's what took place. But, you know, the new space is going to have new memories, and, you know, 50 years from now, those students will come back and say, I was on the stage and here's what happened when I was here. So, you know, it's, like I said, kind of bittersweet in that regard.
Yay.
So June 29th, we are welcoming students to the first 2 sessions of Summer Scholars at Benson, and more than 2,400 students are registered to attend these intensive 3-week sessions. Summer Scholar just for students who are entering 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, who are behind on credits or who wish to improve a course grade or get ahead on credits. Students take 1 class during a 3-week session and earn 0.5 credit. Where necessary, we prioritize admission for students who are behind and need it in order to be caught up. So we look forward to welcoming those students. PBS is again partnering with Work Systems and SummerWorks to provide paid internships for 38 PPS students in a variety of departments here at the BESC. 10 students will be hosted by bond contractors for paid summer work internships. And we anticipate 300 PPS students being placed in paid summer work internships throughout the city and the county. So we're excited about that partnership. We're also offering 9th grade counts at Franklin, Jefferson, Madison, and Roosevelt to incoming freshmen to give students a head start on high school and to ease this important transition. As you are aware, 9th grade counts is one of our original all hands raised partnerships and a key strategy for getting and keeping students on track to graduate. Another transition that we're working hard to support this summer is the transition into school. Starting in July, we'll offer the immensely popular Early Kindergarten Transition Program at 14 schools to help children and their parents or caregivers get ready for kindergarten. The program is free for children who will be attending kindergarten at those schools, and we're doing that this year in partnership with our Sun partners. You also remember the second annual Children's Book Harvest we held in partnership with the Children's Book Bank back in November. Our schools and PTAs collected 27,000 children's books, and just before school let out this year, nearly 4,000 students at 11 PPS schools chose 5 books each to take home, and this is really working to help them build their own libraries. This is the second year we've done this through the Read Together initiative, and it's exciting because it improves access to books for all students and helps us work toward our goal of ensuring all students read by 3rd grade. And again, we want to thank our partners at the Book Bank for helping us do this, as well as our partners at the PTAs. 250 teachers, educational assistants, and coalition partners are taking part in PPS's Pre-K to 3 Literacy Institute at the Airport Holiday Inn this week. All of the available slots for this 3-day workshop were filled within 3 days, and there was a waiting list of educators wanting to learn more about how to support reading success for our youngest learners. And just one more example of how committed our teachers are. This is how they started their summers, was in an institute together working on how to support early literacy in our schools, so it's pretty exciting. Another effort to help prevent the summer slide is underway at Creston and James John schools, where teachers and librarians and the PTAs have teamed up to mail books to students. At James John, teachers identified 61 students who could benefit from extra instruction. They receive a packet of books individually crafted toward their reading interest and literacy skills. They read the books, write a note about them, and mail them back to the school in a self-addressed envelope. Then they receive another packet of books. James John teachers are also volunteering to read to students during the summer meals program at Portland Parks. And one of our principals, Carl Newsom at Astor, will be reading to students at his Multnomah County Library branch. These are some great examples of our staff keeping students connected to school and working toward our early literacy goal. So Portland Public Schools continues to lower its incidence of long-term suspension and expulsion for all of our students with disabilities, but particularly for our Black students with disabilities. Oregon Department of Education recently removed PPS from their list of school districts with significantly disproportionate discipline of our Black students with disabilities. So this is an exciting moment. We let you know when we went onto this list, and we're really pleased to be off of this list. The success is because of collaborative efforts across all departments to increase awareness of culturally responsive practices in our schools. So we are really pleased to be off that watch list. I want to call out the fantastic Roosevelt High School community for transforming a student's negative encounter with police earlier this year into an opportunity to discuss race and social justice and learn more about their rights and responsibilities, as well as engage in an authentic, relevant writing project. The R3 project, and you guys have a copy of the book up here. The R3 project looked at rights, respect, and responsibility through the Roosevelt Writing and Publishing Center. Students put together a group of essays into a 90-page Youth in the Law booklet. Every incoming freshman will receive a copy of the book in September. It received coverage from the Oregonian, the Portland Tribune, as well as from several TV stations. I want to give a call out to Roosevelt Principal Philippe Haristic, teacher Laura Fisher, and their students, as well as to our Portland Police and other community partners who work with our students on this impactful project. Kate McPherson, who is the coordinator of the Roosevelt Writer Center. Kate, will you just woohoo? Woohoo! Yay! Is printing and Kate has done like amazing things at really building a culture of writers at Roosevelt. So I'm just going to say thank you for that. Roosevelt's printing a revised version and will make it available through the Writing and Publishing Center's website by early September, correct? So thank you for that. That's wonderful. And thank you for giving us a copy of it. We appreciate that. And really great thing to do to turn something that was a negative into an action and a positive impact that students feel like they're able to make on others. So we have a growing partnership with Univision KUNP Television. Univision is a national TV network that serves the Hispanic community in the U.S., and KUNP is a Portland-based affiliate that brings local Spanish language programming into the homes of tens of thousands of Oregon viewers. For several years, our Community Involvement and Public Affairs team has co-produced public service announcements with Univision about PPS initiatives, from the summer reading to Si Se Puede student recognition event. Recognizing the power of Univision to help us inform and engage our Spanish-speaking families, we took the partnership to a new level last year. We signed on to Univision's Education Initiative, a platform of 8 public service announcements in 1 year, 2 per quarter. These 60 and 90-second commercials played repeatedly during primetime viewing and reached more than 20,000 individual viewers each week. Univision has a community service mission and heavily subsidizes the cost to PBS of the public service announcements. 8 of our departments sponsored 1 public service announcement this past year about topics ranging from the bond to college and career readiness to special education. So we wanted to just share a couple of these with you so you can see what they were and what we've been airing all year.
Destino Éxito Edúcate es traído a ti en parte por las escuelas públicas de Portland.
Cuando los padres de familia participan en las escuelas, los maestros siempre vemos una mejoría en las calificaciones, en la participación, en la asistencia. Hay muchos menos problemas disciplinarios y, en fin, los que se benefician son los estudiantes.
Algunas maneras de participar en la educación de sus hijos pueden ser apagar la radio o la televisión para que sus hijos o nietos puedan concentrarse para hacer su tarea en casa. Si le gusta el fútbol, organice un partido amistoso con el salón de su hijo. Si trabaja y sus horarios no le permiten visitar la escuela, hable con sus maestros para ver cuál es la mejor manera de mantener una comunicación continua. Esto puede ser por correo electrónico o dejando un mensaje en la escuela. O si prefiere, mande una carta en la mochila de su hijo.
Este año las juntas de padres y maestros en el distrito de Portland son en octubre. Y estas juntas son una oportunidad extraordinaria para que los padres, los estudiantes, los maestros tengan una conversación acerca del progreso escolar de sus hijos. Las cosas funcionan mucho mejor cuando trabajamos todos juntos en la educación de sus hijos.
Este año las juntas de padres y maestros en las escuelas públicas de Portland serán en el mes de octubre. Confirme con su maestro fecha y hora.
Destino Éxito Edúcate es traído a ti en parte por las escuelas públicas de Portland.
El programa de inmersión en las escuelas públicas de Portland ofrece un ambiente multicultural donde los estudiantes aprenden el contenido académico en inglés y en español. Lo que sabemos acerca de los niños que participan en los programas de inmersión es que tienen logro académico más alto y más altas probabilidades de poder graduarse de la preparatoria. Hay varios beneficios de participar en este programa, especialmente para niños latinos. Participar en el programa no solo les ayuda a mantener su lengua nativa, pero les ayuda a fomentar el orgullo de ser latino y bilingüe.
Lo que los padres no saben es que hay un periodo de registración para los estudiantes de kinder. Comienzan a partir del 9 de febrero hasta el 6 de marzo. Los niños deben de haber cumplido 5 años el 1 de septiembre. Y también debe de saber que es un programa gratis. El éxito de su estudiante está al alcance de sus manos. Encuentre la información en la escuela más cercana.
Destino Éxito Edúcate es traído a ti en parte por las escuelas públicas de Portland.
Very cool. That was fun to watch. Okay, my final thing is I have some slides that I wanted to show you from last week's recognition for our outgoing board members. So we had a reception last week to honor our outgoing board members and thank them for their service. And tonight is really their last official board meeting. So tonight I just wanted to show you some pictures of that reception and to again just say thank you so much to our outgoing board members. This is an incredible volunteer position where people run a campaign in order to volunteer for 4 years doing really complex work of governance of a large institution. And it is, I think, rewarding beyond belief and really complex beyond belief. So I just want to say I've enjoyed working with all of you, and Greg, Ruth, and Matt, who are here, and Bobby, who is not with us today. This is your last official board meeting, and you will be missed. Thank you so much for your service, and it's been a pleasure working with you guys.
I said earlier this evening that my, thank you so much, Carol, that my, one of my resolutions during my 8 years of service was never to cry during a board meeting. I cried plenty after them, believe me, in between. But that just got me to crying, so thank you very much. Greg or Matt, and if you wanted to say anything.
I just wanted to say that it's been a pleasure to serve and to serve in this capacity for the people of Portland, the students of Portland, the families of Portland, and all of Portland. And just know that I will continue to work on behalf of the students of Portland Public Schools and students across Multnomah County. And just thank you, staff, and thank you, community, and thank you, Superintendent Smith.
You know, one of the things I couldn't say when I joined the board, and I'm really happy to be able to say it now, I am a very proud parent of a PPS student. My son is very proud to be a PPS student, and we're excited for the next, I just finished kindergarten, the next 12 years in Portland Public Schools, and thank you all for the work you do, and it shows, so thank you.
Thank you so much. So with that, we'll move on with our agenda. We have student testimony next on our agenda. Ms. Houston, do we have any students signed up?
We do not.
Okay. Then next would be public comment. Do we have someone signed up for public comment?
Yes, we have one, Doreen Rose.
Great, welcome. Come on down. If you have 3 minutes. We're very glad you're here to share your thoughts. If you need to follow up with our board manager, Roseanne Powell's over there, if you need to find out about follow-up, and we're very glad you're here. You have 3 minutes, and the green light comes on at the beginning, and then when the yellow light comes on, you have 1 minute left. And when the red light comes on, we respectfully ask that you wrap up your comments. Thanks so much for being here.
Of course, thank you. Am I waiting for the green light?
There you
Perfect. Go. So hello, I am the planning coordinator for the Benson Tech School-Based Wellness Center. You've received emails from me, and you have a summary, but emails get tiresome, and there's so many of them. So I did want to come in person and talk with you tonight. This is a time of year when we celebrate successes, and as I've been listening to the school board over the year and what you're trying to achieve at Portland Public Schools, your desire to address success through equity and helping to address all the needs of students is very meaningful. And so I want to tell you what we're achieving at Benson right now. So briefly, Benson Tech has 70% minority students, 64% are free and reduced lunch, 38% are economically disadvantaged. Many are first-generation students, and all of the students must commute to the campus. So in fact, 30% of the students have reported that they suffer academically due to missing classes when they have necessary medical or mental health appointments. So a year ago, we met over at Benson last summer, Principal Wilson, PPS staff members, John Isaacs and Tammy Jackson, representatives from Senators Merkley and Wyden, and the newly formed steering committee to see how we could bring school-based health to Benson Tech. So we identified the 3 greatest challenges of starting something from scratch. One, for school-based health, is to find a medical sponsor, and that paralyzes a lot of programs nationwide. 2 was to find an appropriate space within the school. And you've all probably seen Benson, it's a very big school, but the district had some very particular parameters, as did Principal Wilson. We could not displace any other programs, we could not disrupt future renovation plans, and we could not reduce the number of classrooms. And that's fair enough, and parameters are great for an architect because then they can really look through what's left and what's going to work. And third was to develop a business plan that was self-sustaining so that we would not be burdening PPS nor the medical sponsor in creating this wellness center. So of course there are 10,000 tasks affiliated with each of these challenges, and so we're still very, very busy. But those key pieces, we have succeeded. So we have a medical sponsor. We have recruited and worked very closely with OHSU Family Medicine. The Family Medicine Department at OHSU is ranked in the top 10 nationally. They've been working with us to develop a program that would be appropriate for a very sensitive time of life in adolescence when you're transitioning from pediatrics to adult medicine. And family medicine doctors are specifically skilled at that. They have a 4-year residency program which brings some very highly qualified, overachieving doctors to Portland to work on all sorts of programs. We not only get providers, we get mentors for our students, and we get presenters for the PE classes and for the health. So you have the rest of it in front of you. 3 minutes is so fast. But I want you to know we're making huge progress, and it will be an asset for you very soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, and congratulations on all you've achieved. All right. So next up on our budget, on our agenda is amendment number 4 to the 2014-15 budget. So I'm going to now place the board into recess from a regular meeting and open a public hearing on the proposed 2014-15 budget amendment number 4. So as you'll recall, we first heard this report at our June 15th meeting. Ms. Houston, do we have any citizen comment on resolution 5106?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to reconvene us back into our regular session for the vote. The hearing does end. So the board will now consider resolution number 5106, amendment number 4 to the 2014-15 budget for school district number 1J, Multnomah County, Oregon. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Director Morton moves.
Second.
And Director Curler seconds the motion to adopt resolution 5106. Board discussion.
No.
Any discussion? All right.
Decided to vote.
All right. Let's give Director Buell a chance to return to the dais. Okay, the board will now vote on resolution 5106. All in favor, please indicate by saying yes.
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 Any opposed? Was that a yes?
That was a yes.
Okay. All right. Any abstentions? All right. Resolution 5106 is approved by a vote of 4-0. All right. So moving right along to adoption of the 2015-16 budget.
5. I can't 5.
Oh, excuse me. I can't.
I can't 5.
I can't add. Thank you. 5-0. All right. The board, as the budget committee, held several town hall meetings and public hearings on the proposed 2015-16 budget. And on May 26th, the budget committee approved the 2015-16 budget. Superintendent Smith, anything you'd like to add at this time?
Just that we just held the TSCC budget hearing right prior to this meeting, and they also indicated that they had no objections to approving this budget.
And I'll just add, with that commission, folks who serve every year to serve in that oversight role of taxing bodies such as ourselves, there's a very good Q&A document that's produced as part of that. So, and that you engaged in the dialogue with them to answer their questions, and it was really helpful to hear. So
yes, they do good questions and good opportunity for good dialogue. Yes.
Okay, the board will now consider resolution number 5107, impose taxes and adoption of the fiscal year 2015-16 budget for school district number 1J, Multnomah County, Oregon. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Director Belisle moves, and
Second.
Director Morton seconds the motion to adopt resolution 5107. Ms. Houston, do we have any citizen comment?
We do not.
We do not? Well, it's been a long process, so any board discussion on the resolution? Director Morton.
I just want to quickly say, I think probably now in is this my fourth budget or my third? I don't know. Fourth budget. It's feeling more to me like an example of a progressive opportunity, one that it isn't definitive,
Right.
and then we start over, but this is something that's progressive, and the hearing that was before this meeting reminded me of the work that's happened, particularly during my time on the board, but certainly starting much before that, and the progress that has been made, even in the times of really challenging and complicated and fiscally anemic times. So I'm excited to approve this budget, and I'm excited for the work ahead of the district.
Well said. Director Blau.
I just want to let our community know that as of right now, the state legislature has not passed the school year budget. Originally, districts across the state said 7.5 was the number that we needed, and right now, without them having released numbers, we're all guessing, but it looks like it's closer to 7.35. And I just want to remind folks that this is 7.5 is not a budget that gets close to what the state has identified as the appropriate for an adequate school funding budget, so we're not anywhere close to that. And I know that Senator Hass has been working as hard as he can to work on both tax reform and revenue reform and expenditure reform, and I just want to put a call out to our community. This is something that I'll still be interested in even after my board work, that we, the citizens, both of Portland and in communities throughout the state, can change this, and I ask for you all to continue to contact your legislature for this year, because the budget is not passed, to increase that number so that we can, so that the new board can find even more specific ways to invest in our students, but also long-term that we can fix this boom-bust cycle in Oregon, because it puts our students at a disadvantage year after year.
Also well said. Any other comment and discussion, comments? All right, the board will now vote on Resolution 5107. All in favor, please indicate by saying yes. Yes. All opposed, please indicate by saying no.
No.
So any abstentions? All right, so Resolution 5107 is approved by a vote of 4-1. Okay. Thank you, and thank you to the staff for all, and the Citizens Budget Review Committee, all the folks who came to the town halls, superintendent, everybody for months and months of work that led to the moment of getting this budget adopted. So thank you so much. And of course, best wishes to the board and staff going into next year for rolling out the implementation and following up. And as I think, Director Morton, your point about this being an iterative process is a really important one, and that we're building and learning, hopefully building in terms of the funds available, but also in terms of our own learning of what's effective and what works most for kids. So thank you very much. All right, so next on our agenda is, unfortunately, the closure of the Leadership and Entrepreneurship Public Charter High School. So this was, we heard a report about this matter at our June 11th meeting, and we now have a resolution before us. So we'll now consider resolution number 5108, acknowledging the closure of Leadership and Entrepreneurship Public Charter School and terminating the contract between core educators and Portland Public Schools. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Director Morton moves, and
Second.
And Director Curler seconds the motion to adopt Resolution 5108. Ms. Houston, any citizen comment?
No.
None. Any further board discussion? We talked about it quite a bit. Director Blau.
I just want to point out that it's too bad and it's unfortunate that it's come to this. Again, I want to call out our fiscal staff, our finance staff, for catching this as an unsustainable model moving forward. But I also just want to know, having known a couple of the individuals that founded this, really creative and really engaging education option here in Portland. I just wanted to say that it's unfortunate to lose this as an option, and thank you to all the educators and folks who worked tirelessly to make this happen.
And I'll just come again, as I did last time, just really briefly, that I really appreciate the staff and everyone working so hard for the benefit of the students and making sure they have a successful transition to their next school. That's obviously what's most important here, so appreciate that. And wishing everybody the best. All right, so the board will now, no further comments? Okay, the board will now vote on Resolution 5108. All in favor, please indicate by saying yes. Yes. Any opposed? And no abstentions. All right, Resolution 5108 is approved by a vote of 5-0. Okay, so next on our agenda, naming rights for Fabian Concordia project. Superintendent Smith, would you like to introduce this item?
I would, and I'll introduce C.J. Sylvester, who's our Chief of School Modernization, to walk you through this item.
Thank you. As Carol said, I'm CJ Sylvester, the Chief of School Modernization. We're running so far in advance of the posted agenda that Fabian Project Director Eric Girding, who had intended to be here and make this presentation, is not yet here this evening. So I will stand in his stead. All of you are very familiar with the Concordia University Portland Public Schools' deep partnership around the rebuilding of Fabian Pre-K-8 in conjunction with the Concordia University College of Education. We have been through a series of processes and agreements with them, both in terms of the design and in terms of a disposition and development agreement as regards real property and their commitment to contribute $15.51 million to this project. What the staff is asking for this evening is the ability to streamline a process whereby significant donors have naming rights to portions of the building that are funded by Concordia University. And so I wanted to be able to walk you through a little bit here this evening about how much of this building is in fact being funded by the proportion of funds that are being raised by Concordia. Concordia would be here this evening, except for they are at a fundraising dinner. So it has been no small enterprise for them to continue to work through their commitment to bring $15.51 million to the table. So the laser pointer. This is the first floor, and just to orient you, Deacom is up here, north. Rosa Parks Way is down here to the south. This is actually going to be a plaza area between the George White Library at the Concordia University campus and the south entrance to the building. The main entrance to Fabian Pre-K will be here on the north side, where all the parking, the play apparatus, and a lot of those things are. The main entrance for College of Education students will be down here on the south side. But what you're looking at here on the first floor is the entire suite of wraparound services that are being funded by Concordia University. So the Health and Wellness Center, the Food Club, the Family Resource Center, any number of the wraparound service providers and services that we've talked about during the course of this entire program and project as part of the 3 to PhD initiative are in fact, those capital spaces are being funded by Concordia University, as is the entire Early Learning Center. So these are spaces that are direct benefit to PPS students, PPS families, and are being funded by Concordia. On the second floor, in addition to the Concordia suite of offices, you've got a STEAM lab here that is being funded by Concordia, as well as Welcome Hall, second floor. And then on the third floor, you have 2 more STEM labs that are also being funded by Concordia in support of the Fabian Pre-K-8 program. So their partnership with us is extensive in terms of their contribution to the Fabian Pre-K-8 portion of the building, and we wanted to make sure that you were fully aware of how deep that partnership is in terms of the capital construction, and that it's not just a matter of Concordia University funding the College of Education, which is part and parcel of what's going to be happening in this building, but also funding services and programs that directly impact our students and their families. So that is our request here this evening, is that you authorize the resolution to form a superintendent's committee to review and approve naming portions of the Fabian Pre-K-8 school facility areas that are funded by Concordia University.
All right, so let's get this on the table and then we can have a discussion. The board will now consider resolution number 5109, authorizing a superintendent's committee to review and approve naming of the Fabian Pre-K-8 school facility areas funded by Concordia University. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Director Belisle moves and Director Morton seconds the motion to adopt resolution 5109. Any citizen comment, Ms. Houston?
No.
All right, board discussion. Director Belisle?
This is really exciting. So it's fun to see this come forward, and as we look for new ways that we're going to be challenged by partnership and trying to come up with a solution. And what I appreciated was some of the background material where you laid out our current policy and the superintendent's administrative directive. And I just, I'm happy to support a committee to look at this and delve in deeper, but I just want to highlight the fact that because some of our families and some of our students might be using part of these facilities, that we use a similar lens. This brought up for me a lot of questions about current names of a lot of our current buildings, which may not feel very comfortable to large portions of our community, which I'd be curious, again, if there are people interested in working to change that. Some of our buildings are named after people with histories that, again, are not so pleasant to many of our families. But with that being said, I just want to make sure that we use a similar lens, or recommend that the committee use a similar lens, that if a non-Christian or I don't know, somebody walks into a space that's a health clinic, for example, I want to make sure that people feel comfortable, our students and families feel comfortable, and don't feel off-put just because of a name. Appreciate the generosity of Concordia in this partnership, and it's exciting, but just want to make sure that there aren't unintended consequences.
I appreciate that, Director Belisle. And I do want to point out that the final piece of the resolution statement as regards the entire building is that any recommendation to rename the entire building, we would not be renaming the school itself, would come before the Board of Education for approval. So that would be a separate process from just naming portions of the building, such as the Early Learner Center, the Wellness Center, and those kinds of things.
So could I just ask a question, a clarifying question, in terms of the committee? So in the resolution it states, resolve number 3, that the superintendent will convene the review committee in accordance with the administrative directive, section 3, paragraphs 1 through 3, to consider the proposed names of portions of the new facility that are being funded by Concordia and their donors. And they have the committee has the final approval for those portions only. And then just looking at the administrative directive, the 3rd paragraph of the naming as a result of gifts section says the proposed name will be reviewed by a committee including but not limited to the superintendent or designee, general counsel, board leadership, and the principal, parentheses, if the name affects an existing school facility. So can you explain what the parentheses applies to? Is that just the principal part of that, or the way that administrative directive is worded is a little confusing, because it just says maybe the and the principal part. I'm just not clear on the wording and what that means in terms of
We'll have to go back and review that
Okay.
and make sure that we're clear before the committee gets established.
Okay, but sounding like, I mean, it makes sense to me that the principal would be part of this committee.
I think it's safe to say, Chair Adkins, that Principal LaShawn Lee has been a part
Absolutely.
of everything that has happened with the Concordia-Fabian relationship, and has been one of our best and most fervent advocates.
Absolutely. So I just called that out just as a question that came up of just the wording was a little. And then the second part of that paragraph, I think also maybe gets to some of Director Belisle's comments, because it says consideration will be given to the historical background of the name to ensure that it is not associated with activities that are in conflict with the district's mission goals and policy of non-discrimination. So I appreciate that that's in the administrative directive, and I assume that would be part of the charge that the committee would receive, so they would have that information. And of course, having board leadership or board representation will be really key as well, so that they can keep the rest of the board informed going forward. So it's exciting. Of course, wish Concordia very well in their fundraising campaign. Other comments, Director Buell?
Yeah, I'd just like to let you feel comfortable about naming the library after me, or maybe Mr. Morton, maybe the Buell Morton Library.
I'm already going to have a bench there.
Have you written?
Is that where your bench is going?
So I assume you brought your checkbook tonight?
Yeah, the bench. I can take a library. It'd be
Is
perfectly
it the
okay.
Buell Morton or Morton Buell?
Buell Morton.
It's all about the size of the check, gentlemen. It's about. Any other comments? All right. Hearing none, the board will now vote on Resolution 5109. All in favor, please indicate by saying yes. Yes. Any opposed or abstentions? All right. Resolution 5109 is approved by a vote of 5-0. Thank you so much. Exciting to see this building come together. Okay, and we are moving very rapidly through our agenda. We all are, I guess, thinking about that beautiful evening outside, or just so happy that we have an awesome budget that we've voted through. All right, so finally we have our business agenda. The board will now consider the remainder of its business agenda, having already voted on resolutions 5106 through 5109. Ms. Houston, do we have any changes?
No.
No changes? Do I have a motion and a second to adopt the business agenda?
So moved.
Director Belisle moves.
Second.
And thank you. Director Curler seconds the adoption of the business agenda. Any public comment?
No.
None. And how about board discussion? Director Buell.
We had a long discussion around the NEA material, and then we have new revenue contracts in this. How did that come out compared to the discussion?
Were the numbers the same?
And the
So you're
numbers the same as when we had like the architectural thing, we were
is-
trying to move it to 50-50?
I see Tony Magliano's here.
How did that
so
work
he
out?
should be able
Because
to
I
answer.
can't tell from this, of course.
Tony Magliano, Chief Operating Officer. Yes, sir, the agreement was a 50-50 split. You'll notice that if you take 50% of the 759,000, NEA's contribution is slightly less than that. That's because NEA funded a portion of the pre-design that was necessary to get us to the point that we're at now, but it's based off the 50-50 cost sharing.
So pretty much it came out what we discussed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate that, Tony. That's the same in the other? Because there's the,
So there's the cost sharing
there's the
agreement.
Native American Youth Family Center contractor.
They're giving us the money.
Right.
That's the money, okay.
Correct.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks for that clarification.
I have another question.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Back here on the schedule
Mhm.
of board meetings for 5111, my guess is that we're going to move back to 2 board meetings a month. That's just a guess, but I think it's a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
And we've got that in July, 2 board meetings and 2 board meetings in August, but then we start September 1st, 8th, 22nd. What I'd suggest is that we table this till we make that decision and then put out the list of board meetings, because if you're doing something in October, these aren't going to be accurate, I don't think, probably. That's just my guess.
Yeah, my understanding was
Why don't we
this is.
table it till the 6th of July? Could I make an amendment and table that to the 6th
Yeah, and I
of
think
July?
our assumption was that this is totally, as it says, tentative and up for changing by the new board, but maybe Amanda Moylan could come up and address why we're putting it as a tentative at this point. But yeah, absolutely, the new board.
So I'm going to be turning to Karen to confirm, but I think we need the approval of at least the July 6th meeting, right, in order to be able to hold it on July 6th. So I mean, which is why we put tentative. So what we've done every year is at the end of June, put together a tentative schedule, and then what the board has done during the course of the summer and at the retreat is really determine how they want to do the schedule. And like every year, we've then made changes to the schedule based on that. So our recommendation was that you approve this tentative schedule, and then after you have the new board has met and determined how often they would like to meet, we can revise that schedule and bring it back to you for approval in August.
Right, I mean, as long as everyone, no one watching this starts like blocking out their calendar for their viewing of the board meetings through the year, just because we know that's the most entertaining show out there, right? I'm fine either way, because I assume this would be changed by the new board, so
Okay.
whatever.
That sounds fine, as long as we're clear, everybody's clear on it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
That's why it says
I have
tentative,
another
and the
question.
calendar will be reviewed with the new board after July 1st, so
I have
there you have
another
it.
question.
Sure.
We had some material surrounding administrative salaries in our board material, but it's not showing up here. Did that get buried in budget, the budget approval?
Which material are you looking for
We
specifically?
had some that talked about, that was administrative salaries, which listed like the top 6 people had
I think that was in response.
various.
Yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
I think
that?
it was a report to us.
Well, just a report, I mean, what happened with this?
Right here?
I don't think it was something we were going to be speaking about tonight or on the agenda, but.
It was in the budget. This is the
Yeah,
budget.
it's part of the budget.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the one
Yeah.
I'm looking for.
And it was just background on the
But
salaries, yeah,
those
it's part
were
of the budget.
approved things in the budget, though?
Yeah, that was part of the budget.
Okay.
Yep.
Just wanted to know what happened to it.
All right, any other discussion on the board agenda?
Someplace.
All right, board will now vote on the business agenda. All in favor, please indicate by saying yes. Yes. Any opposed? And any abstentions?
Abstention.
All right, so business.
You need my yes here to pass this because he abstained. So I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something. This doesn't include, we voted on the budget separately, so yes is my vote.
Right, we did already vote on the budget.
Okay.
Okay, so that was a yes. So business agenda is approved by a vote of 4-0 with Director Morton abstaining. All right. Well, that was a very quick final meeting. Thank you so
Wow.
much, everybody.
Ruth, it took you to the last meeting to get so efficient.
Hey, it's all about how much folks have to say, right? And staff was just being cautious to make sure we had enough time allotted, should we need to have other things to say. All right, well, it's been an honor and a pleasure, and I certainly wish the future board every success, and the superintendent and all our staff can't thank you enough for all your incredibly hard work on behalf of our children, and just hoping the best for Portland Public going forward.
So I'll thank the entire board and then specifically the three of you that are leaving. It's been an honor to work with you, so thank you for your service.
Thank you. So.
And I'd also like to say thank you too, because I only know half of what you've been through. And so thank you, and all your voices. Each of you had different voices, and they're certainly in my ear going forward. So appreciate
Thank you.
everything you've done.
Appreciate that, Director Kroller. All right. So the next meeting of the board will be held on Monday, July 6, 2015. This meeting is adjourned.